Today I wanted to share some of the things I have learned while being in lockdown over this past year and living through the pandemic. We all know what the world is like at the moment. A lot of the time it feels really doom and gloom, but I'm hoping that, like me, you've had some positive moments, some epiphany type moments where things just seem to make sense, and you've had some really happy moments too. Like I said before, I'd like to share with you some of the things I've learned in hopes that it will maybe create reflection in your own life and help you and encourage you to look at some of the positives instead of the negatives. Every lesson I'm going to share, I feel, has been very impactful and very important. The first one is being grateful. Being grateful was something I had always heard talked about. It's all over the self-care world. I've constantly been exposed to this for years now, and it was only this past year that I was actually able to put it into practice. And let me tell you, it makes such a huge difference. A way it was phrased to me recently was, instead of saying I have to, I get to. So looking at the world in the sense that I get to go out for a walk today, I get to make myself a meal, even if it's the same meal you make every morning for your breakfast and you feel like it's boring, but you get to make that meal for yourself. It's taking that little bit of time to realize all the things in life that there are to be grateful for, because I feel there's probably something in just about every moment that you can be grateful for. Even if it doesn't feel like it, putting that gratitude into that moment and into that thing shifts your mindset, and it is such a huge game changer in terms of shifting your mindset and shifting your overall well-being in terms of your emotional state. It really is such a powerful feeling. The next lesson, which transitions very well from being grateful, is being aware. I don't know how many times I catch myself and I become aware of my own consciousness. I'm like, oh, I'm a person inside here. I get to make these decisions. I get to think these thoughts. I get to do these things. I get to control this body and do what I want with it. And that alone is just so powerful, because it's bringing a consciousness and an awareness to your life, to your being, instead of a subconsciousness where we're always just on autopilot and not fully letting experiences penetrate and really sit with us and be aware of these things that are happening to us, but also being aware that we have the ability to control these things that are happening to us. We have so much power that we don't use in our life because we're just on autopilot. So a huge one would be to just bring awareness to your life, that you are conscious and you are able. Being kinder to yourself is a huge one for me because, well, I feel most of us are probably our own worst critic. I am so brutal on myself, and I'm just constantly like, you're not good enough for this, you can't do that, that's rubbish, etc., etc. I always put so many deadlines, so much pressure on myself. I've got to do everything, can't let somebody help me, have to have done it in this certain amount of time, in this certain way as well. But I think taking the moment to just be gentler to ourselves, be kinder to ourselves, realize that we probably don't need to put that much pressure on ourselves, on that task, because being kinder to yourself, I feel like, is one of the number one ways in order to help your productivity. If you are constantly stressed when you're doing something, I don't feel like it's going to encourage consistently showing up for yourself. So that goes for productivity, but it also goes for just our mental states. There's no need to constantly be so harsh on ourselves. And I think a great question to ask ourselves would be why? Just when you're feeling like you are putting so much pressure or you're saying something to yourself a certain way, just ask the question why and ask if it's important. And probably 9 times out of 10 it's not important. Next lesson I have is being present, which is very similar to being aware, but it's more just about living in the moment and not in the expectation of life. I think we always want things to be a certain way or happen a certain way, or just for certain experiences we have these expectations, but I think it's good to get rid of expectations to a certain extent and just live in the moment and bring yourself to the present moment as often as you can. So going slower is very similar to being kinder to yourself. The lessons I learned are sort of variations of themselves, but have their own importance. For me, going slow is very difficult, and I always feel like I have to be doing a million things at once, and I guess that's just the society we live in. It's very much a hustle culture, and you have to have multiple things on the go. But slowing down, picking one thing at a time is the most effective way to do it, but it's also the kindest thing you can do to yourself. It's going to reduce stress and just help you feel calmer. We don't need to always be on the go. We don't always have to be working an insane amount of hours, and yeah, you just need to slow down. And my last point is something that you will realize when you go slower, and is that you have enough time. We're always told we have to be doing so much, and time is the most precious commodity and you will never get it back, but just choose to spend it wisely. I learned this year that I have enough time for everything I want to do. I baked a lot. I literally went out one day and collected sticks to make a hut for my cats in the back garden. Things I would never have done before because I'd be like, I do not have time for this. I have so many other things I want to do. But I realized I did have time for them. If I want to do something, I have time for it. You have so many hours in the day. You are able to use them, and we're not able to see sometimes where we waste so much of our time, which probably, let's be honest, is on TV or on our phones. And I think with screen time abilities, to see how much you're on your phone is a real eye-opener, because I feel like most of us probably don't realise how often we're on it. We're like, it was half an hour, and it was actually 3 hours you were on your phone. And to me that is just so mind-blowing, because what could you have done with those 3 hours? So it's not necessarily that you don't have time for things, it's just about how you spend your time. So don't tell yourself you can't do something. If you really want to do it, if you want to bake that cake, you've got time for it. I guarantee you will fit in the ability to do the other things you want in your day. I've seen myself so many times say, I don't have time to do this, and then sit on my phone for an hour because I didn't have time to do that other thing, and I was like, I'll just go on my phone for 5 minutes. We need to be realistic with ourselves of how we spend our time, because I guarantee you have more than you think. I feel like all these lessons and these points fit in with each other very well. They all overlap and they all work very well with each other. Doing one enables you and helps you to do the other. And I think the main thing is just bringing presence and awareness to your life, and instead of always being subconscious about it. Just realize that you're alive, you're in control. Realize how you want to live, and start taking actions towards it every day. You are capable. You just have to realize that you have the ability, and the power is all with you.